Welcome to Inland Empire Alive, bringing you issues, events, and perspectives from throughout Riverside and San Bernardino County. I'm David Brady, and today I'll be talking with Carolyn Solar, the new CEO of Feeding America Riverside San Bernardino, a food bank that has been working to eradicate hunger in the region for nearly 42 years. That's today on Inland Empire Alive. Well, I am delighted to welcome Carolyn Solar, the brand new CEO of Feeding America Riverside San Bernardino. Carolyn, welcome to the program.
Thanks for having me.
So let me make sure I get the acronym right. What is FARSB's mission?
Feeding America Riverside San Bernardino, or FARSB, our mission is to alleviate hunger in the Inland Empire.
So how do you do that? I mean, what are some of the resources and programs, and that's a lofty mission.
Yeah, we run many different programs throughout the Inland Empire. If I went into all of them, we'd be here all day, but we run programs at elementary schools, we work with local colleges. We also partner with over 250 different smaller nonprofit organizations to get food out to the community. Essentially, the way we work with them is we kind of serve like a Costco. So they have memberships here to our food bank, and we provide them with food resources so they can support their community. In addition to that, we also provide CalFresh assistance so we can help people get those EBT benefits. And we also have a home delivery program, so that way we can help people that are homebound that aren't necessarily able to leave their homes to get food.
Now, this is not a new organization. You've actually been operating here in the region for quite a while. How long has FARSB been in existence? And I know it was under a different name originally.
We've had many names over the years. I believe when we first started off, we were just a small pantry, and then we became Survive Food Bank, and then Second Harvest Food Bank, and then Feeding America Riverside San Bernardino. But we've been around for over 40 years.
Wow. So tell me about your affiliation with the national organization. How does that work?
Yeah, so Feeding America, there's 200 Feeding America affiliated food banks across the nation. We're specific to Riverside and San Bernardino counties. Some people have kind of tried to understand what it is, and they've said, is it sort of like a franchise? Sort of. Feeding America provides a lot of relationships for us. So when we were able to partner with Walmart's and Albertsons, that's because of that relationship that Feeding America has established for us local food banks. But essentially the funds that we raise here in the community, those stay in the community.
So in your role as CEO and in incoming as the new CEO, what are some of the challenges going to be in that role?
I think right now what I'm experiencing as the biggest challenge is I'm coming in at a time when everything is so expensive. Fuel is extremely costly right now. Just obtaining food is very costly right now. Just in general, things are more expensive than we anticipated when we prepared the budget last year. Unfortunately, the need is still high in the community and people need food resources, but donations are slowing and expenses are still increasing.
You make a good point. So I was looking at your website and I was kind of shocked that I really didn't think of those ancillary issues like the price of gas. That it costs money to get food to people. It costs money to get food from farms to grocery stores. So when the price of gas goes up, it becomes much more difficult. And certainly with all the supply chain issues. So how has the need been impacted in the past couple of years with the impacts to the economy and folks being out of work? Has the need risen?
Yeah, during the start of the pandemic, that was when we saw the biggest spike we'd ever seen for people needing food assistance. Thankfully, things have started to slow down a little bit, but we still have a big need within our community. One of the challenges we face is we cover both Riverside and San Bernardino counties. Those are two very large counties. So our service area spans from, or it goes up to as far as Trona, which people don't realize. So we cover a big food desert area too. Our biggest challenge is really reaching those communities though. So in those ways we've been impacted as far as, maybe we're not going to the desert as frequently because we need to, maintain those resources, but we also want to expand our service. So that's always a challenge.
In terms of need, how does our region compare either nationally or are there other regions that are similar to us? I mean, I hate to sort of compare, but are we above the national average? Are we below in terms of poverty and food insecurity?
That's a difficult question to answer. I think all the communities within the Feeding America Network experience really different things. So if I were to compare us to LA County, for instance, they're heavily populated. So for them, transportation might not be as challenging because there's people everywhere. For us, our biggest challenge is just like I mentioned earlier, the food deserts. We have so much of a big region. So San Bernardino is just a huge county, but it's not as heavily populated. So a challenge is how are we going to reach those communities that need food assistance, but when we take our giant truck there, we're not going to reach as many people. So yeah.
Talk to me about the term food insecurity. Well, I've heard that a lot, but how is that defined? Is it a government metric? Is there a specific measure that it measures?
So the USDA defines food insecurity as people not having access to 3 nutritious meals a day. So if you are not receiving 3 meals a day, you're considered food insecure.
And this is not by choice. This is not people choosing to eat unhealthy. These are people who they do not have access to fresh fruits and vegetables.
Right. So Riverside and San Bernardino County, there's over 400,000 people that are living below the poverty line. So we would say they're at risk of food insecurity.
You're someone that grew up in this area. Did it shock you when you joined the organization to see the need? Because it's one thing to grow up in an area and some of the problems are invisible. You know, poverty exists behind closed doors in a lot of ways. Were you surprised when you kind of saw the scope of the need in the region that you had called home?
Definitely. I think I've been fortunate that I've never had to be food insecure, but I really never started to notice it until working at the food bank. We encounter a lot of people through all of our programs that are very thankful to receive food. One of those things that was eye-opening for me was meeting those people that when you gave them a box of food, their eyes, welled up with tears. I had never been in that situation, so to see somebody else going through that situation was really different for me. So I think that's been one of the most eye-opening things, is seeing those seniors that are really excited and seeing those kids that are like, I've never seen this fruit before. What is it? What does it taste like? That's a different experience because I've never dealt with that. So,
there's a lot of stigma around needing access to food. Is there anything you wish people would understood in terms of compassion and empathy for folks who don't have access to either nutritional meals or enough food?
Yeah, I think a lot of people don't realize that we're all one circumstance away from being food insecure. We could lose our job tomorrow and be food insecure. We could have an unexpected health situation come up and become food insecure. We could lose somebody in our family and that could cause us to become food insecure. I think there's a lot of different circumstances that can really push you into food insecurity. And I think we saw that a lot during the pandemic. People that I had relationships with through the food bank that, through their business, they were a partner to us, that were now reaching out because they didn't have access to food. It was really eye-opening to see that we're all just one situation away.
Prior to the pandemic, you have been with FARSB since 2017. How have things changed just within that span of time, even before the pandemic hit? Has there been a shift in terms of need? Has there been a change in kind of people's willingness to give, in terms of, they say when the economy is good, people are more willing to give, and when it's bad, like you said, people don't have the resources, they don't have that extra money to give.
Yeah, I think I've been through a lot of situations here at the food bank. When I first started, donations were coming in, but I had never seen it like I did during the start of the pandemic, where everyone was just starting to see that food banks were in their community and that we were feeding people through all of this, and that none of us were stopping working because we couldn't. This was our peak time. And now, like I mentioned, we're seeing a decrease in giving. However, there's still tons of people that need food assistance. So I think that's the biggest change that I've seen. Another change that I've seen is in our programming. We've received a lot more requests for people needing CalFresh assistance. Before, we had one person doing that role, and it was fine. It was never overwhelming, but we have one person that does it full time, and we have a couple of interns helping now with it as well. But I definitely see us moving towards eventually needing a second full-time person, because there's just such a need in our community for people needing that consistent access to food resources. You
talked about kind of how large FARSB is these days and how much it has grown over those 42 years. It's an organization, though, that relies very, very heavily on donations. Mm-hmm. Time, money. Talk to me about some of the different ways that people can give, whether it is money, whether it is food, or whether it is time and energy. What are some of the ways that they can give back?
Yeah, so we take volunteers Monday through Friday. We have 2 shifts, one in the morning, one in the afternoon. So anybody could really just go on our website and sign up to volunteer. They just need to be over the age of 12. Anyone under the age of 18 just needs to have an adult present with them. But our volunteers are helping us sort through all of the food donations that come in to make sure that everything is good before it goes out to the community. Additionally, dollars make a huge impact. Every dollar that we receive helps to provide up to 7 meals, so we can stretch that really, really far. Being in the Inland Empire means there's so many distribution centers that'll provide us the food. It's moving the food that's very costly. So that's definitely where we need the help.
Are you searching for businesses to supply food? Is that always something you're in need of? Like, is it hotels with banquets or restaurants that have food that they would otherwise throw away? Is there always kind of a search for new folks to supply food?
Food donations are always great. We work with a lot of the distribution centers in the area, so we don't necessarily work with hotels or restaurants to get any of the leftover supply from them, but bulk food donations make a big difference to what we do.
Is there anything that specifically inspires you about the type of work you do?
I'm inspired every day. I think we do great work, and I'm really proud to be a part of this organization. Like I mentioned, many of the programs we run, we're able to meet the clients that are directly in need, that are benefiting from those services. And I can tell you now, those are people that really, truly need it. So being able to provide that resource to them, it means a lot to me, and it means a lot to the team here. A lot of us have had the opportunity to meet those clients and see the great work that comes from our everyday efforts. So I would say it's really rewarding to really meet the client.
Is that important to you that you do have the ability to see that impact? That this isn't something that's having an impact thousands of miles away. This isn't sending money to sponsor someone, in a foreign country. This is, you can see the impact on the street corners. You can see the impact, in the homes that are just down the street from where you live.
Yeah, it's just that, what you said, being able to see it right within your community. I'm a Riverside resident, and most of the work that we do is in the city of Riverside, so I benefit knowing that it's supporting my neighbors that need it most.
What drew you to this type of work originally? I mean, what led you down this path?
Yeah, well, I've always been in the nonprofit world since even when I was in college, so it's been somewhere where my heart lies the most. When I moved to Riverside, this opportunity came up to start working here, and I've stuck around ever since. I haven't left, and I think even beyond my time at the food bank, I'll definitely be volunteering and supporting because I'm really proud of the work that we do, and I think that we do amazing work to support the different communities in the area. Just last year, we provided over 30 million pounds of food, which is pretty impressive, and I know it goes a long way. So,
for you personally, how do you measure success? Like, how do you know at the end of the day, this is the question I've asked before, but at the end of the day, how do you know that that was a day that was well spent?
Well, I think that any time that our trucks leave our warehouse, they're leaving with food and coming back empty. So that to me is success, knowing that when the food makes its way out, it's going to people that truly need it.
Well, and it's interesting you say that, because that is a very visible reminder of what you do. The truck comes back empty. The truck was full and it came back empty. How can people find out more about what you do? Some of the opportunities to, whether it's to donate food, whether it's to donate time, where can people go to learn more about what you do?
Our website is feedingIE.org. IE is in Inland Empire.
Okay.
People can go to feedingIE.org and learn about the volunteer opportunities that we have, as well as donate or even find food pantries in their area. We have a Get Help link. People can just type in their zip code and see where exactly in the community they can find a pantry near them that can provide them with those resources.
That was my next question. So if for anyone watching,
Yeah.
that they themselves are either in need or they know someone who is, what's the first place they should go for assistance? What's the best place to start?
Yeah, so again, feedingIE.org, just visit that Get Help tab. You can find resources on the pantries that are within your immediate community, as well as information about our home delivery program. Since that one's launched, we've served over 10,000 households, so it's a really big program, and we're working with DoorDash now to get those food items out as quickly as possible. So really great resources on the feedingIE.org webpage, the Get Help tab.
Okay. Having just been named the CEO, and you are, I understand, the second CEO in the food bank's history, congratulations. Do you have a vision of where you want to take the organization? Are there specific goals in the short term?
Yeah, so just to clarify, I'm the second female CEO.
Yes, second female
So we've had
CEO.
a couple of other CEOs before that, but in the immediate goals is I just want to sustain our programs. Because we're a nonprofit, we never know from year to year what our programs are going to look like. We really rely on the community to open their hearts to support our mission. So I really want to get us to a place of stability so we can grow those programs long term. But I really want to focus more on the culturally inclusive items as far as food items. I want to start to source that and figure out how we can establish stronger relationships in the community so we can support a diverse amount of people.
I'm going to throw you a hard question. So, how do you advise people when they are torn between giving to someone that they see on the street who's standing right in front of them and says, "Can you help me? I need to eat," versus donating to an organization where you don't know where that money goes and you don't know who it helps?
Yeah, whenever people have questions about giving, I always recommend they look at Charity Navigator or GuideStar. Those are really great platforms where you can see exactly what a nonprofit is doing with their funds. If you were to check out ours, you would see that 98% of each dollar goes directly to food distribution programs. That's a pretty high percentage amongst nonprofits. As the Feeding America Network as a whole, most of us have over 90% going directly to food distribution. We're fortunate to be in the IE, so there's so many distribution centers giving us the food. We're mostly just getting it out to the community. So 98% goes to the distribution programs. In addition to that, we're working on a lot of other things as well. We're investing in research. We have people that are working on the public policy side. We're doing a lot more to find solutions to ending hunger here in the area.
Hunger is one of those problems that can often feel insurmountable. You know, it's one of those issues that we as a country have been tackling for decades, as a planet have been dealing with for thousands of years. How do you stay positive when sometimes it might feel like, well, we're never going to solve it. We're never going to help everybody.
Well, I don't know if we'll ever be able to help everybody, but at least if we're putting our programs in different communities, out in different ways, supporting different people, like supporting seniors or supporting children, I think we're at least getting closer to providing those solutions. So if somebody feels comfortable enough to go to those resources, they can get the help that they need. We also try to make it easy on our website as well. If people have questions or they're not comfortable going to our website, they can always message us on social media and we'll answer those questions there and find them those resources. But we try to make it as friendly as we can for anybody that comes to us. They could simply call us and we'll help them and find them resources.
Social media, where can people find you?
I believe everything we're Feeding America IE, at Feeding America IE.
Well, Carolyn Solar, great work happening at the food bank. 42 years of history. You must be so proud. It's been a delight to have you on the program. Congratulations on the new role.
Thank you so much. Really appreciate it.